Deep underground, where the sun never shines, a skeleton has lain at peace for more than 3,000 years. Beside the right hand, a rusted still whispered tales of power, battle, and honor. For a century, archaeologists looked at this grave and nodded in agreement. A warrior. A man, obviously, the sword declared it. The burial site confirmed it, and the history books agreed. Then, a state-of-the-art laboratory, equipped with DNA sequencing machines worth tens of millions of dollars, completely shattered that certainty. They took a tiny fragment of bone, smaller than a fingertip, and decoded biological traces that had endured for thousands of years. The person resting in that grave was not a man, it was a woman. The mistake itself is not shameful. What is astonishing is why we made it. For hundreds of years, humanity has projected itself onto the past like a mirror. A sword man, jewelry meant a woman, and two skeletons lying side by side meant a family. We told the stories of our ancestors through the lens of modern assumptions, and those lying beneath the earth for 3,000 years had no way to argue back. Until now, the ancient DNA revolution did not begin with a single discovery. It started with a tiny seed of doubt, a question that for centuries almost no one thought to ask. If we got this one grave wrong, how many other human stories had been built on false assumptions? That question opened the door to a scientific investigation spanning decades. From royal tombs and forgotten battlefields to common cemeteries and remains frozen under ice for tens of thousands of years, geneticists began an unprecedented hunt. Not for gold, not for museum treasures, but to restore the lost identities of those who can no longer speak. This was an intellectual campaign uniting the world's most advanced laboratories. Next-generation DNA sequencers can read billions of genetic codes from fragments of material so small they are nearly invisible to the naked eye. Highly controlled clean rooms, built at a cost of tens of millions of dollars, were established to keep out an invisible enemy: contamination. A single skin cell shedding from a researcher's hand could completely rewrite the story of someone who died 3,000 years ago. As a result, every procedure has become a scientific ritual. Full-body protective suits, multi-layered masks, constantly tools. Bone fragments are with the kind of reverence reserved for the last surviving document of a lost civilization, because that is truly what they represent. A strand of DNA just a few millionths of a meter long can reveal where a person was born, where their ancestors migrated, and who they were related to. In some cases, it can even chronicle the massive migrations, wars, and population mixtures that reshaped entire continents. But the deeper scientists delve, the more they uncover a triple truth. The greatest mistakes do not stem from our ancestors, leaving too few traces behind. Sometimes the greatest mistakes come from within ourselves. Let us travel north to a cold Scandinavian island. There, for over a century, archaeologists proudly pointed to a grave they considered the definitive proof of an elite Viking warrior. Not just any warrior, a general, a leader, a man. Inside the grave lay an exquisitely carved longsword, a heavy battle axe, 2 spears, armor-piercing arrows, and 2 horses, one male and one female, buried alongside their owner. Most intriguing of all was a tactical board game with its playing pieces. In the Viking world, this was no mere pastime. It was the symbol of a planner, a decision-maker, a battlefield commander. For decades, archaeological records and exhibitions presented this as the tomb of a male military commander. For over 100 years, almost no one questioned it, because it all made perfect sense. For more than a century, not a single doubt was raised. It was simply too logical, but history has a curious habit. The things that make the most sense are often the ones that need to be re-examined most closely. At the turn of the 21st century, as ancient DNA technology entered a new era, scientists decided to revisit this famous grave. They did not set out to prove their predecessors wrong. They were simply following a fundamental rule of science. Every answer, no matter how long it has been answered, must be questioned when a new tool becomes available. Tiny bone samples were collected and brought into the clean room. The researchers worked slowly, millimeter by millimeter. When the first data appeared on the screen, something seemed off. The team checked again, and then they looked for modern DNA contamination and compared the findings with other biological markers. The result remained unchanged. The skeleton carried 2X chromosomes. The person buried in that legendary warrior's grave was a woman. A strange moment occurred in the archaeological community. It was not a collapse, but expansion. Suddenly, the central question flipped. It was no longer, how could archaeologists have been so wrong? The new, more profound question was, why were we so certain that a woman could not belong in such a warrior's grave? The debate went on for years. Some scholars argued that the weapons were merely symbols of status, not proof of actual combat. Others pointed to the gaming board and the two horses, items never placed in the grave of an ordinary person, male or female. And perhaps most intriguing of all, after more than 1,000 years, the woman in the grave still keeps some of her secrets. DNA could restore her biological sex, but it could not whisper her voice, tell us how many battles she fought, or reveal if she was with the symbols of power by those she left behind. A single fragment of bone can shatter a century-old assumption. Yet to truly understand a human being, we still need caution, responsible imagination, and a deep respect for the spaces that history has left unfilled. In an ancient cemetery on the shores of the Mediterranean, two skeletons have rested side by side in silence for nearly 2,000 years. From the moment they were excavated, their story seemed obvious: an adult and a child. The proximity of their bodies led the first archaeologists to believe they had died together, been buried together, and perhaps shared a bond of love in their final hours. Early reports described them as a mother and child. That narrative spread quickly. It appeared in popular science articles, was told to museum visitors, and became an enduring symbol of maternal love. No matter how much the world changes, a mother standing by her child in their final moments is something modern humans instinctively cherish. It was a beautiful story, perhaps too beautiful for anyone to want to doubt. Then DNA stepped in. Scientists took samples from the densest bone, where DNA is most likely to survive. After weeks of processing, millions of DNA fragments shattered by time were pieced back together, like a book torn into 10,000 pieces. Algorithms ran continuously, searching for one simple answer. Did these two share the same blood? When the results appeared, the room fell silent. There was no mother-child connection, no close genetic relationship at all. The adult resting beside the child was not the one who had given them life. In an instant, the beautiful story we had cherished seemed to vanish. But then, a new and even more fascinating question emerged. If they were not family, why were they buried together? Were they a caregiver keeping watch in those final moments? A neighbor? A servant? Perhaps stranger who reached out a hand during their darkest hour? Or was it simply the random arrangement of a tragedy we can never witness? DNA can tell us they did not share a bloodline. But it cannot tell us who held whose hand in their final breath. It is precisely this mystery that makes them feel so human. Because life does not always offer neat answers. There are those who stand by us in our hour of need without sharing our blood. There are children loved by those who did not give them birth. And there are deaths that arrange strangers side by side, leaving behind a mystery that we may never solve. Now let us dive even deeper into the past, thousands, but tens of thousands of years ago, to a cold cave in Siberia where archaeologists found the remains of a young girl. In life, she was no queen, had no golden tomb, and no inscription singing her praises. Perhaps no one ever imagined that tens of thousands of years later, scientists would spend millions of dollars just to discover who she was. But DNA has a miraculous way of giving a voice back to those whose names history never wrote. When geneticists extracted DNA from the girl's tiny bone fragment, they realized they were looking at something entirely unprecedented. She did not fully belong to any human group science had ever identified. Half of her DNA came from a Denisovan. The other half came from a Neanderthal. This was not the distant trace of ancient ancestors mixed over thousands of generations. She was the first-generation offspring of a Neanderthal mother and a Denisovan father, a child born of two ancient human groups that for a long time we believed had almost no contact. Imagine, about 90,000 years ago, a Neanderthal woman and a Denisovan man crossed paths. Perhaps in an alley beside a rushing river or at the foot of a snow-capped mountain. We do not know what they said to each other or if they could even understand each other's language. We do not know if their meeting lasted a single day or a lifetime. History has kept no record of those details, but a child was born. And tens of thousands of years later, a tiny fragment of her bone lay waiting in the darkness of a cave, waiting for modern humans to find it. It is one of those moments that makes scientists pause. Amidst million-dollar DNA sequencing machines, complex algorithms, and billions of biological data points, they are ultimately searching for something deeply ancient, a human story. A story of a connection, a story of how beings, once thought too different to belong to the same world, actually shared a family. But this young girl's story does not just change how we look at two ancient groups who once walked the earth. It forces us to ask a much more personal question. If the traces of those ancient encounters have survived for tens of thousands of years, could they still exist inside our very own bodies today? And the secrets of this ice age do not end there. Scientists have uncovered something even more surprising. A part of these long-lost people never truly vanished. They live on, not in museums, not in fossils, but within the bodies of billions of people living today. Today, when someone sends a saliva sample to an ancestry testing company, they usually expect a map with clear borders. 20% from this region, 15% from that one. But the truth revealed by ancient DNA is far more complex. Throughout the 20th century, many scientists believed that when modern humans left Africa around 60 to 70,000 years ago, they completely replaced other ancient groups. A simple transition, one group arrived, the other vanished, but ancient DNA has shown that model to be far too simplistic. When researchers first sequenced the Neanderthal genome, they made a discovery that forced all of anthropology to rewrite its history. Neanderthals never fully disappeared. They're still here, in the genetic makeup of billions of people today. People with non-African ancestry carry about 1 to 2% Neanderthal DNA. That number might seem small, but think about it. A sequence of genetic code that has traveled through 40,000 years of history. It survived ice ages, the collapse of civilizations, wars, plagues, and countless generations born and lost. And today it resides inside someone listening to these very words. Perhaps even you. But the most fascinating part is not just that we carry the DNA of an ancient human cousin. The real question, the one that drives hundreds of millions of dollars in scientific research, is this: what is that DNA actually doing inside our bodies? The answers are slowly emerging from laboratories around the world. Some Neanderthal gene variants are linked to our immune system, how our bodies fight off pathogens and adapt to new environments. These ancient ancestors did not just leave behind a trace. They may have handed us the biological tools that helped our modern ancestors survive as they stepped into unfamiliar lands, braved cold climates, and faced novel diseases. But evolutionary legacy is always a double-edged sword. A trait that was highly beneficial during the Ice Age may no longer suit a modern world of processed foods and chronic illness. What once helped a person survive a brutal winter might now contribute to inflammatory issues or metabolic disorders. It is a profound paradox. Our bodies live in the 21st century, yet a small part of our biology is still written by the desperate battles of the Ice Age. The hunt for ancient DNA goes on. Billions of dollars, thousands of scientists, and hard work day and night to decode biological messages that have slept for tens of thousands of years. But perhaps the greatest discovery is not some secret of our origins, or a breakthrough that shakes academia. The greatest discovery is a simple truth, one that seems almost obvious once realized. Those who lived thousands of years ago were not distant, unfamiliar ghosts. They laughed, they cried, they feared the dark, and they hoped for tomorrow. They loved, they suffered loss, and they protected those they cared for. They too looked up at the night sky and asked the very same questions we ask today. We do not know their names. They did not know ours. Yet DNA has brought about a meeting that could have happened in no other way. An encounter between the living and those who departed long, long ago. Years ago, in the quiet archives of a museum, an archaeologist sat alone before a small box. No larger than 2 hands, inside there was no golden crown, no priceless gem nor sword of some legendary general. Just a single tooth, yellowed with age. A tiny fragment of a human being whose name is written in no history book. For thousands of years, that person had no voice. No one to tell of the dreams they chased. No one to know who they loved, what they feared, or what they saw on the final day of their life. The world kept spinning, mighty empires rose and fell. Cities once thought immortal turned to dust. Languages spoken by millions vanished from the face of the earth. Yet a tiny piece of that person remained, lying silent in the dark, waiting, not waiting for someone to praise them, or to turn them into a legend, but simply waiting for someone to ask a simple question: who were you? That is perhaps the most beautiful question the quest for ancient DNA is trying to answer. In an era where we build supercomputers capable of performing trillions of calculations per second, citizen spacecraft pass boundaries of bounds our solar system, and pour billions of dollars into grand scientific ventures. One of our deepest quests begins with the smallest of things: a tooth, a fragment of bone, a strand of DNA thinner than a single hair. There is a profound paradox in this journey. The more DNA we decode, the more we realize that history is not a closed case. It is a conversation between the living and those who have long since departed. We ask the questions. The bone fragments answer in the language of biology. We ask again. And in this way, the vast gap between present and the past begins to close. Perhaps one day, hundreds or thousands of years from now, when we too are forgotten names, future scientists will hold the remnants of our time in their hands. They will look at our broken phones, our ruined buildings, and the everyday things we once used. They too will try to imagine who we were. And perhaps they will make the same mistakes we did, until a new technology arrives, a new door opens, and a new truth is uncovered. That is the endless journey of human knowledge, not a path from ignorance to perfection, but a journey from an incomplete story to one that is a little more complete. So the next time you see an ancient skeleton in a museum, remember, you are not looking at an artifact. You are looking at a person. Someone who woke up one morning thinking they had a whole life ahead of them. Someone who had loved ones waiting for them to return. Someone who laughed, cried, feared the dark, and hoped for tomorrow. Thousands of years have passed. Their names are gone. Their languages are no longer spoken. The world they knew has completely vanished. Yet, a part of them remains, in the earth, in tiny molecules, and the secrets that modern science is patiently decoding. And perhaps that is the most beautiful thing ancient DNA has revealed. That after all the wars, the empires, the borders, and the divisions we have created over tens of thousands of years, we have always been part of the very same story, a story that began long before the first cities rose, and one that will continue to be told long after our own names have faded into the past.